dear participants of the LUMEN conference. My name is Cristina CİRTIșтын-BUZOIANU, and together with my colleagues Gabriel and Venera-Mihaela COJOCARIU, we prepared our presentation, which is entitled Making Career Decision in the Context of COVID-19 Pandemic, an analysis upon disadvantaged group students. This study was carried out as a result of the CNFIS FDI 2020-121 project entitled Student at UBC, Access to Education for Disadvantaged Student Groups, founded by the National Council for Higher Education, focusing on disadvantaged student groups in their final high school years in Bacau and Neamț counties. Within this project, equal conditions were provided in order to benefit online from group counseling and guidance activities, more numerous and more focused on the needs of this student category than in the pre-COVID period for establishing an appropriate professional path. Some of the main project activities which were developed until now: the admission caravan, promoting the opportunities for professional and personal development offered by UBC among high school students in Bacau and Neamț counties from disadvantaged backgrounds. Student 2020, conducting communication campaigns in the online environment in order to inform students using Facebook video flows and Instagram posts. Open Day Doors, presentation of the educational offer of the 5 faculties within UBC through the students involved in the project. 3-day student is an activity which may come, interaction between students and the student union, a workshop entitled Student Talk, and a contest with prizes for students from disadvantaged backgrounds. Some seminars regarding career orientation, entitled It's My Chance to Be a Student, informing students from disadvantaged backgrounds about training opportunities and access to the labor market offered by continuing their studies, as well as supporting the choice of a field of study according to personal interests. Some issue about the theoretical background. We discovered that the current global context is fundamentally marked by the COVID-19 crisis, which has generated a profound impact on all areas: economic, social, political, educational, health, and community. Correlating these aspects, specialists consider that it also represents a career shock by Ackerman, Richardson, and Kramer, both through its form of manifestation and implication. At the same time, no matter how negative the effects of this crisis may seem, the author tried to capture and analyze some of the positive aspects that could be exploited in their career decision-making process. The few lessons mentioned in the previous study refer to aspects such as amplification of different online group activities, intensification of training activities in the form of training seminars and workshops, analysis of medium and long-term effects, and investment in the post-COVID training. There have been already numerous studies published in the last 8 months on the issue of the correlation between the COVID-19 pandemic context and the career decision under its various aspects and categories affected. And we mentioned some of them: the UNESCO, the Interagency Network for Education in Emergencies, the European Center for Development for Vocational Training, Career Development Association of Australia, and some of the authors mentioned above. Most of them empathize the profound and unexpected impact of the crisis also on the career decision. Given the short time that has elapsed since the crisis onset and manifestation. On the completion of studies, we have not been able to identify any study that would target the disadvantaged student group in relation to their career decision. Career shock mainly affects the young population, still unprepared for the labor market, being forced to make serious and difficult decisions in an uncertain and extremely dynamic period. Besides the lack of self-knowledge, the fear of making wrong choices is one of the reasons why disadvantaged groups of final year high school students are experiencing and increasing turmoil, which is significant both for specific material and psychological reasons, facing an important step in choosing their career path. The career decision-making process becomes more difficult to assume by taking into consideration the type of job, the sense of belonging, and the balance between passion and risk involved in the job. Some words about the methodology. The research group consisted of 108 students from 11 and 12 grades who study at high schools in cities under 10,000 inhabitants, considered disadvantaged by the Minister of Education and Research. All participants of this study were informed about the purpose of the study. The research started in September 2020 and only 106 questionnaires were validated, 2 of them having technical errors. For the research, we used the Myers-Briggs type indicator questionnaire, a Romanian adapted version, first rated counseling and career orientation services, especially for identifying the student's professional interest. The questionnaire had 58 items organized in 8 categories: introversion, extroversion, sensing, thinking, intuition, judgment, and perception. This mix of categories result in 16 types of personality who had specific interest in various job or occupational fields. The study is part of a wider research that aims to identify the interests of high school students for professional guidance for higher education. The general hypothesis: there is a tendency in the disadvantaged group of high school students to focus on training areas dominated by practical aspects rather than by theory. We also conceive some specific hypotheses. The first one: in the career decision making, there is a high tendency to be orientated more towards the introversion indicator than the extroversion one. The second hypothesis: in career decision making, there is a high tendency to be orientated more towards the intuition indicator than the sensing one. The third one: in career decision making, there is a high tendency to be orientated more towards the thinking indicator than the feeling one. And the fourth one: in career decision making, there is a high tendency to be orientated more towards the judgment indicator than the perception one. Here are the results of our studies, conceived by frequency for codes of indicators type and the heresy of the results for individual indicators. For example, the frequency revealed that the most frequent is the ICTG one with 42 and the lowest is the ITCP with 3. Indicators about judgment, sensing, introversion and thinking were mixed with the frequencies, indicators and frequency, and this is why the judgment was on the first place and the last was thinking, and also feeling was in the first place and perception the last one. The questionnaires result analysis highlights the tendency of the research group to be more orientated towards an analytical approach of the present situation, towards intervention. This result can be influenced by the COVID-19 crisis, which has generated a real need to be more introspective and more orientated towards a critical perspective of the future, including the professional occupational one. The results for MBTE reveal that 40% of the research group had the ETCG indicator code and 25 GTFG indicator code. This highlights that there is a dominance of intervention sensing and judgment indicators among high school students, and these data validate our general hypothesis. The data analysis and interpretation support the validation of the specific hypothesis 1, 3, 4, and the second hypothesis has been invalidated. The study highlights one of the positive consequences of the limitation imposed by the COVID-19 crisis in the traditional promotion of the educational offer, such as Door Open Day, paper and online advertising, university website, and social media instruments. The university saw an identified solution, designed and made the most of the Tenefis project, entitled Student at UBC, Access to Education for Disadvantaged Student Group. So the focus on this disadvantaged group was applied of students that came from Bacau and Neamț counties. In accordance with this project carried out between May and December 2020, these groups of students become and benefit from activities to find out about the study programs they can attend and to identify professional interest as part of the process of self-knowledge and professional counseling, in order to make a reasoned decision related to their career. Part of the self-knowledge and counseling activities for the career decision-making was applied to the questionnaires in order to reveal the indicators for different areas of professional interest for the research group. The obtained results show that it is important for students and high school students to receive quality service for career guidance and psychoeducational support in order to prevent an over-intervention and an over-critical attitude about the others and themselves, self-isolation correlated with the highest level of sensing and sensitiveness. The COVID-19 crisis demands a new approach and new ways of intervention in the career decision-making process, including helping youngers to be able to accurately identify their own professional interests and skills. Thank you for your attention. On behalf of our team, we hope that our presentation was interesting, and we shall meet very soon at the conference. Thank you very much.